when you are going after something you want to accomplish, and in the past, the stories you have shared, there is a sense of like always bringing value before even the ask. I have noticed that pattern in a lot of your accomplishments. So do you want to share one like incident and tell us why is it so important? What's the process around it? Like when you reach out to these people and thousands of people do that, like they reach
Yeah.
out to these people, and why were you able to be successful like multiple times reaching out to like international artists?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a lot of stories actually I can share. Uh, I think so. To backtrack a little bit to give some context, when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of Jim Rohn. I don't know if you remember Jim Rohn or you remember Jim Rohn.
No.
So Jim Rohn is like he's like one of those OG like motivational speakers. He was the motivational speaker of the motivational speakers. Like he was that guy. He was the first guy to do seminars in the world, like personal development seminars. I'm talking like 1970s.
Yeah,
when this
wow.
thing didn't exist.
Like
So
Earl Nightingale.
yeah. He was he was that godfather. So one of his like biggest lessons or learnings, teachings was that give value before you ask. And when I was 16, 17, I used to watch that all the time. For some reason that just stuck with me. It was like a programming or whatever, and it was like, all right, give value before you ask. Like, okay. And then I went on to live my life, and I read this book by Gary Vaynerchuk. He has this book called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? Which basically is like a boxing metaphor for like you give, and then you ask. So I think it kind of like my life just kept reaffirming to me that like this is the way. Like if you want to do something, this is the way. And then all these physical examples happen. So speaking of, I'll give you like maybe one. I think the J. Cole example is pretty standard, but I'll also give you another example which I maybe never told you. There was this company. This is a small example, but there was this company in China that I wanted to work for. It's called OnePlus. They make phones. You've probably heard of them. Yeah, OnePlus phones. Yeah. So I was like a huge fan. Like 7 years ago, I just when I finished school, I was like, man, I want to work for this company. I love their product. Like this is so much fun. And the reason I'm giving this example is because I feel like this is very applicable to people who want their dream job or their dream thing. So what I did was I went on their website. They don't have any listings for what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in marketing, right? And that was like my somewhat experience at the time. So I was like, okay, what can I do? So what I did was because using that methodology, give before you ask, right? I'm not just gonna send them an email like, hey, hire me, which is what 90% of the world does. It's like, hey, here's my resume, hire me, right? But you're not providing any clear value. So for me, what I did was I made this website called iloveoneplus.com. I like bought the domain, put together this one page like pitch with ideas of what I would work on when I got hired. So I gave them literally like 10 ideas that I would do. And then what I did was, the website wasn't enough. So I wrote them a letter, like literally handwritten letter. I wrote 3 letters to 3 different people in the company, and I shipped it to China, like through mail, went to the post office, shipped it to China. It had the same thing as my website pitch. Wrote the ideas, and I said, this is what I want to do when I join the company. This is what this would be my first 3 action steps. And this is how I see the vision of the company. So I'm giving them like literally high value, almost like consultation, right? Yeah. So anyways, send a letter and let it go. And then I think that this is something we could touch on later, but I feel like it's really important to understand the non-attachment piece. And you probably know about this from Law of Attraction. It's like I didn't send the letter and I was like worrying about it every day. I didn't get a response. Oh my God, I'm praying to God. Like that's the piece that people get stuck in, because that's a lot of resistance. Yeah. So you're not letting it flow to you. You're saying, I'm gonna send this out, and then for me it was like I'm so unattached to it. I'm like I sent the letter out, and I went to do my thing that I had to do. I didn't worry about what's gonna happen. Lo and behold, 3 weeks later, I get an email from head of marketing at OnePlus, this lady. I get an email and she says, hey Deepak, I'm blown, literally like word for word, I'm not even paraphrasing, I remember this email. Hey Deepak, I'm blown away by your efforts. I have never in my life, my professional career, received a handwritten letter from someone who wanted to work for me. Like this is literally her words. Yeah. She was like, can you get on a phone call this week and let's talk about our options. Get on a phone call with her on I think it was a Monday I got the email. Get on a phone call with her on Thursday. She is literally like, are you willing to, like she created a position for me. She gave me my own team and she was like, this is what I want you to do here. In China, in like Hong Kong, right? And I was like blown away. So the next step would be for me to like go down there and like do the formal process. That didn't end up happening because I chose not to, but that was irrelevant. Wow. Because the point is, how you give value before you ask, and people will actually give you more than you ask for.
Yeah. Guys, listen to this shit because this story, I did not knew this story. I'm ready to jump in the water. Like, he has told me numerous stories of other people, but I didn't knew this story, and he has repeated this over and over and over, and I can totally attest to it. Sean can attest to it. This is exactly how it's done. Do it without an attachment to it. Not like we do everything. Every move we do in the day is based on an expectation, whether that's a gesture of love, whether it's anything we are trying to do with the people around us. It's an attachment. We want something in return, whether it's an acknowledgement of the fact, right?
Yeah.
Like Deepak said, it's very difficult to detach yourself with that result and then just do the effort and do the effort and do the effort, and eventually you're gonna get through. Oh my God, that was mic drop.
That was on.
I want to add one thing to that, because I think it's to drive it that point home of attachment. So because I'm a big yogi, in yogic sciences we have this the biggest philosophy of yogic science is full effort, no attachment. So because a lot of people, when I say no attachment, they're like, oh, if I have no attachment, then my will or desires go away, my passion goes away. I think the important thing to have like clarify here is like, because that's why in yoga, when you do yoga, you have full effort in the poses, but you're not attached to the result, right? So I think it's really important for people to understand that when I say these things like no attachment or unattachment, it doesn't mean that you're like satisfied or content with where you're at. It means that I gave 100% effort to that job. Like I made the website, I spent 10 hours working on it, I spent 10 hours writing that letter, I spent so much time thinking about the ideas. Like that's full effort. And then being unattached, I feel like is what really gets you what you want. So I just want to make that clear for everyone. It's like full effort.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you take off effort too.
Yeah.
It's full effort and then no attachment.